Good evening, everyone. This is Rodney with the Triton Wave Market Outlook for Monday, October 1st, 2012. Okay, I'd like to start off by showing you the results of Friday, which was on the S&P. This nice little move down. It was an inside candle from the day before, but it finished. I have rarely seen this, where the body of the candle actually resided in between the 8 and the 21. I looked back 5 years and I couldn't see another one like that. I don't know what it means, but it's an interesting view. On the 21 minute, so let's take a look at this a little bit more closely, because what I'm looking at is that, again, this is the Bernanke move, the ECB, the Chinese move, which I mean the Japanese move, which kind of got buried in a high candle low finish, and then the Chinese move, which kind of got buried in a low finish. So we have already neutralized as far as the S&P goes. We're down 525 right now. It's 6:30 Central Time on Sunday. So we have already taken out the Japanese infusion of money, the Chinese infusion of money, and now we have neutralized the ECB infusion of money, and I think this is the next line of defense is going to be to attack the Bernanke infusion of $40 billion a month, and that brings us down to 1403. I don't see any reason why this is not going to happen. If we look at what's happening with the Aussie yen, risk on, going up, risk off, coming down. This hike, this blue candle right here is in relation to what happened on the daily. The I don't know what that was, 130 point move, 140 point move, I forget what it was. But it was actually, let me see, 27. There's a 14 point move on the S&P. Whoops, took that off by accident. So as far as the Aussie yen goes, we've done the same thing. We've taken out everything but the infusion of capital into the United States banking system by the Fed. So we're much closer. This risk off on the Aussie yen is much closer to reaching its goal of neutralizing the Fed infusion than the S&P is. So which means that S&P has to play catch up on this. So it'll be, I'm pretty sure this will be rapid. Another signal is that the 8 and the 21 is closing in on each other, and they're about to cross. The T1 is going down every single day, even with a move up of 14 points on the S&P. If we look at the 21 minute, now this isn't up to date because this is Friday's close. This is cash price. But it held the 377 even though it tried to break up above it. Look and see if there was a play on the S&Ps. Here's a play at 10:30 in the morning on T3. Actually T2. T2 gave you a heads up. You would have had a little bit of heat from 1431 down to 1429. And then it kind of took off until 1240, and then it started coming down again here. So this was let's see if this was a 50% retracement here. That was almost a 764 retracement. So it was beyond the 50%. So that was a good fake out, unless you were looking at the waves to tell you differently. Let's look and see what a 987 wave would look like here. Come on. Slow loading. I wouldn't have told you much different. Got you in at the same point, got you out at the same point. So let's look at some stocks. Okay, so we drew a trend line of the stock. It looks like the 21 held. I mean, the 8 held, and then it fell below the 21 on Goldman Sachs. And also, if we stretch this out here, we can see that the, let me see, what is that? At the 8-period moving average, not only is it about to cross the 21 in a couple more trading days, but it also crossed back over the 377 while it was keeping its downward trend line. So that's a good move. So far, so good on the downside. This actually had a lead-in downside on the 21 period cash back in September 18th, which was like 12 days ago, at 119.9, 120, and it has been down ever since on T4. Nice move down. So when it's so strong on the downside, and the long wave on T5 on the daily is still below zero, then you can either play these little short hops or just ride them out. And you will take some heat riding them out, but most of the time they work out. Okay, Amazon is not acting too badly here. It did take a little bit of a hit on Friday, but so did the rest of the market. But it's still, the T1 is still trickling down as in T2, T3. T5 is still well above zero. So, but I'm looking at, okay, this is what I'm looking at here. I'm looking at T5 to see whether T1, this is T1 in the 21-minute cash, if this can cross and get below zero, this 254 will beat 248 really quickly. Because it'll, once, the way these are lined up, and since half of T5 is below zero and the long one on T5 is about to go below zero, any move in this direction of down, any move to the downside, like when it crossed up here and when it crossed right in this area, T1 to the downside, T1 to the downside. If it crosses and it's going side, and the cash is going sideways to down and it crosses, that's a sign, that's the point at which it's going to have a bigger than normal move. Okay, Baidu, I still think Baidu has a chance to go down. I'm in it, I have not sold it, and I'm riding this out. It's wavering between up and down on T5 here, but most of the other 21-minute waves are above zero. So this may have a little bit more to the upside, but I'm only keeping this on the short side, well, with regard to puts, because T5 and T4 and T3 is below zero, and those are the long waves. So we'll have to see what happens with that. This may just come up a couple more points and then tank like it has in the past, but we'll wait and see what happens there. I do have stops in place, but it's getting thinner and thinner all the time. No change in Netflix, sideways to down. Apple looked like it was going to bail out all the longs who are taking heat. Went up, I believe, 160. Went up like 17 points on Thursday. Hit the 8-period moving average and just dumped all day long on Friday. So on the 21-minute period, it's been below zero on the long wave, and it popped back up a little bit to 50% moving average. I'm sorry, 50% retracement from 705 to right here, 50%, right on the nose. So I'm looking for Apple to retrace a little bit more. MasterCard seemed to have staying power with a big move in the market. It only moved 69 cents. It looks like it's starting a little bit to roll over, but it's kind of deceptive because these waves aren't. T5 is half and half. 4 and 3 are down, but they're moving up. T1 is rolling over a little bit. The main one I'm looking for again is for T5 on the daily to come below zero before there's any significant directional move in puts. Gold still looks good. If you took advantage of getting in where we suggested when it was up going sideways here, I said wait for it to come down to the 21 period moving average. And if you were quick enough to get in, you got in at 168. It's now 172. It was down a little bit on Friday. Up big on Thursday, down a little bit on Friday, but it still looks all these waves are above zero. Let me take a look at the weekly and see if we can get any better picture on that. Well, my data on weekly only goes back to 2005. That looks very good. Oh my God, 3 tops here going back to November 2011, February 2012. This looks even though T1 and T2, T3 is below zero, they're all trending up, and these aren't as effective reading tools on the waves. We have to go back to the daily to see. These are all above zero. So 171.89 at least. I'm thinking 180, 180, 184. Just if you earn it, hang on to it. All right, last but not least, Google is way above its 3-year trend line here. And there is a very good chance if this market moves down, these waves are so peaked. 5, T4, T3, T2, T1, and the 21 minute, let's see, is T4 is the first time it's been any part of it below zero since September 13th. So, well, that's only 2 weeks. But point is that Google is 707 now. It's had a high of 764 and 754 right now. But this is a little bit cleaner right here. This is like 913, also 913. When let's stretch this out a little bit. When T3 went above zero at the same time as both waves of T3. This was very clean here. Happened the day before, or hours before, and that was a clean entry on the upside. At what price did we have here? That was like at 705, and this is the first time that it's gone below zero on the 26th of September and on the 27th of September, and now both T1, T2, and T3 are below zero. T4 is starting below zero. So don't be surprised to see 20 points knocked off of Google in one trading session, because this is an early warning system. Once these go down, once these waves go down and these go and the prices go sideways, the price catches up to the wave. That's just the way it works. All right, that's all I have for tonight. Good luck trading, and I'll see you at the next update.